meteors happen somewhere in the globe, but it's rarer to have one happen over a populated area where thousands of people can see it.
Something is coming and it's hiding in plain sight. NASA just confirmed a massive meteor shower over the Southern Hemisphere, but you won't believe the secret they're hiding. SETI, the alien hunting organization, recorded a signal from it, a whisper from the void that proves this is no ordinary storm. These aren't just meteors, they're behaving like a coordinated fleet. And the most shocking part? The U.S. Space Force is about to launch a mission to meet them head-on. The official story is planetary defense. The truth is far, far stranger and could change our world forever. The day the sky changed. In the silent, frozen expanse of space, something has awoken. Just days ago, astronomers operating the Catalina Sky Survey in Arizona noticed something peculiar. It began as a faint smudge in their deep sky images, a ghostly cloud where nothing should be. The initial report was straightforward. A minor, unexpected meteor shower was beginning to form over the Southern Hemisphere. The suspected source was debris from a comet known as 46P Wirtanen, a chunk of ice and rock about 7/10 of a mile in diameter. Comets shed debris all the time. It's the source of beautiful meteor showers like the Perseids and the Leonids. You see, this is a normal, everyday occurrence in our cosmic neighborhood, but this was anything but normal. What many overlooked in the first few hours was the sheer scale of the event. The cloud of debris wasn't just a small stream, it was a storm, and it was growing at an exponential rate. Within 24 hours, NASA's Near-Earth Object Program redirected several of its most powerful telescopes, including the Pan-STARRS Observatory in Hawaii, to get a better look. The data that came back was, to put it mildly, unbelievable. The storm was comprised of not thousands, but tens of millions of individual objects. Their estimated velocity was staggering, clocking in at over 150,000 miles per hour, far faster than typical cometary debris. The most shocking fact is that these objects were on a direct trajectory that would bring them into Earth's upper atmosphere in a matter of weeks. This is when the first set of silent alarms began to ripple through the global scientific community. Planetary defense agencies went on high alert. An impact from a single object a few feet in diameter can release the energy of a car bomb. A storm of millions of them, even if most were the size of a grain of sand, could have devastating effects on satellites, space stations, and anything else in orbit. It could potentially even pepper the surface of the planet itself. The southern skies, from South America to Australia, were about to become the front row seat to the most intense celestial bombardment in modern history. Then, the story took a turn from concerning to deeply strange. Scientists at the SETI Institute, whose job is to listen for signals from extraterrestrial intelligence, decided to point their powerful Allen telescope array at the incoming storm. It was a long shot, a routine check they perform on any unusual cosmic phenomenon. No one expected to find anything, but they did. Buried deep in the cosmic static was a signal. It wasn't a language or a clear message. It was a faint, repeating pulse, an electromagnetic rhythm that was perfectly regular, too perfect to be natural. The signal was weak, but it was undeniably artificial. It was coming from the very center of the meteor storm. Suddenly, the focus shifted. This wasn't just a natural disaster in the making. The involvement of SETI turned this from a planetary defense issue into a potential first contact scenario. The thing nobody tells you is that a discovery like this is the one thing the people in charge fear the most: the truly unknown. And you can see this everywhere in the response that followed. Total, complete secrecy. The information was locked down. The storm was no longer just a collection of rocks. It was a vessel. Something or someone was using a cloud of millions of high-velocity projectiles as camouflage. The implications were chilling. Was the signal a beacon? A warning? Or was it something far more ominous, like the hum of an engine pushing this impossible storm directly toward our planet? But the weirdest detail was how the objects themselves were moving. The Phantom Fleet. When you look at a normal meteor shower, the debris is chaotic. Rocks and ice tumble through space, spreading out according to the laws of gravity and momentum. They are messy, disorganized, and predictable. But as NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory began to model the trajectory of the millions of objects in this new storm, they discovered something that sent a shockwave through the agency. The objects weren't tumbling, they weren't scattering. To put it mildly, they were moving with an eerie sense of order. On a massive scale, the storm was holding its formation. While individual pieces swirled within the cloud, the entire swarm was rotating slowly, like a colossal celestial wheel. Even more bizarre, advanced tracking showed that tiny course corrections were being made. Objects on the outer edges of the storm that should have been drifting away were subtly nudged back toward the center, as if guided by an unseen hand. The storm was not just flying, it was being flown. Many people are crazy about the idea of UFOs, but this was different. This wasn't a single mysterious craft, it was a fleet of millions of them disguised as a natural phenomenon. This discovery gave a terrifying new context to the SETI signal. The rhythmic pulse wasn't just a random beacon, it was likely connected to the force that was holding the storm together. Some analysts proposed it could be a form of navigation or a network signal that allowed the swarm to act as a single, cohesive entity. Think of it like a queen bee guiding a swarm, except this swarm was thousands of miles wide and traveling at 42 miles per second. The wow factor here is almost too big to comprehend. The level of technology required to control millions of individual objects in deep space is far beyond anything humanity has ever conceived of. What many overlooked at first was the composition of the objects. Spectrographic analysis, which reads the light reflecting off the meteors to determine what they're made of, came back with confusing results. Yes, there was water ice and silicate rock, consistent with a comet, but there were also trace elements of non-terrestrial alloys, metals forged in environments with pressures and temperatures not found in our solar system. These weren't just rocks, they were manufactured objects, or they were coated in something artificial. This wasn't a meteor storm at all. It was a Trojan horse, an invading force hiding behind a veil of cosmic dust. The Phantom Fleet was approaching, and its intentions were a complete mystery. So, what could humanity possibly do against such a threat? America's last stand. The moment the SETI signal was confirmed and the unnatural flight patterns were verified, the problem left the hands of civilian scientists at NASA. The information was funneled directly to the highest levels of the United States Department of Defense, and a new, top-secret directive was issued to the U.S. Space Force. Its name, Project Intercept. The public mission of the USSF is to protect America's assets in space, like GPS and communication satellites. The thing nobody tells you is that their real classified mission is to act as Earth's first and last line of defense against any and all extraterrestrial threats. And they have been preparing for a day like this for decades. The plan to intercept isn't what you might think. Many people are crazy about the idea of sending up rockets with massive warheads to simply blow the storm to pieces. But that would be a disaster. It would only break the millions of objects into billions of smaller, but still incredibly dangerous pieces of shrapnel. You can see this everywhere in modern military strategy. The goal isn't always to destroy, but to neutralize and understand. The USSF's plan is far more sophisticated. The first phase involves launching a series of hypervelocity probes, codenamed Stingers. These small, incredibly fast drones are designed to streak through the outer edges of the storm, not to attack, but to gather data up close. They are equipped with suites of sensors designed to analyze the object's composition, scan for energy signatures, and most importantly, get a detailed reading of the mysterious guidance signal. The second, more aggressive phase of Project Intercept involves a new type of orbital defense platform. These are not public knowledge. Officially, they don't exist. They are heavily armored satellites equipped with something called a kinetic impactor array. These are not explosives. They are massive rods made of tungsten, a metal so dense a bar the size of a telephone pole weighs over 10,000 pounds. The plan is to fire these rods directly into the path of key objects within the swarm, using blunt force to knock them off course. The goal is to see how the swarm reacts. If one object is taken out, does another move to take its place? Does the guidance system adapt? It's like poking a hornet's nest to see how the hornets respond. The fate of the planet could hinge on the data from these initial encounters, but even this plan might not be enough for what's coming. A message or a threat? As the USSF prepares its desperate interception mission, everyone from top military commanders to the handful of scientists in the know is wrestling with the ultimate question: what are the intentions of this approaching force? The thing is, we are completely in the dark. The possibilities are as vast as space itself, and each one is more world-altering than the last. Many people watching this might be wondering, is this all true? Could something like this happen overnight? While this specific event is a scenario, the questions it raises are very real. Are we missing a key detail that explains everything? One theory is that this isn't a hostile act at all. The storm could be an automated probe or a messenger, and the signal could be a simple hello from a civilization that communicates in ways we can't yet comprehend. Perhaps the debris field is a form of shielding to protect a delicate craft at its center from the harshness of interstellar travel. In this case, intercepting it with kinetic rods could be seen as an act of aggression, a disastrous first impression for humanity. What many overlooked is that our definition of a threat is based on our own experiences with conflict. An alien intelligence might not even have a concept for it. Another, far more chilling possibility looms in the silence of space, that this is a prelude to an invasion. The approaching storm isn't a natural phenomenon, it's a meticulously engineered planetary bombardment system, a wave of devastation designed to wipe out a planet's defenses and cripple its infrastructure before the main force ever arrives. Imagine millions of kinetic impactors, dense objects traveling at relativistic speeds, each programmed with chilling precision. They wouldn't need explosives. Their sheer velocity would be enough to shatter cities, vaporize military bases, and sever the arteries of our global power grid. The logic is as old as warfare itself, a brutal calculus we have perfected throughout our own bloody history. Why risk your soldiers in a costly ground war when you can first obliterate your enemy from a safe distance? It's the strategic bombing campaigns of the 20th century scaled up to a planetary level, a shock and awe campaign meant to break our will before we even know who we are fighting. The choice of the Southern Hemisphere as the initial entry point only deepens this cold dread. It's not a random trajectory. It's a calculated, strategic move. This region represents a relative blind spot in the orbital surveillance networks of the world's major spacefaring nations. With fewer deep space radar installations and less continuous satellite coverage compared to the heavily monitored northern latitudes, it's the perfect backdoor. An attacker using this approach demonstrates a terrifying level of reconnaissance. They know our routines, our capabilities, and more importantly, our weaknesses. They've been watching, patiently mapping our technological blind spots, waiting for the perfect moment to strike where we are least prepared to look. The attack wouldn't begin with a declaration, but with the silent, simultaneous failure of everything we depend on. Yet even the horror of a planned annihilation pales in comparison to the third, most shocking possibility, that we are simply in the way. In this scenario, there is no malice, no grand strategy for conquest, only a profound and terrifying cosmic indifference. This massive, guided swarm might be on a journey to another destination entirely within our solar system. Perhaps it's a colossal mining operation en route to harvest precious isotopes from the asteroid belt, or a fleet of titanic vessels preparing to refuel from the turbulent atmospheres of Jupiter or Saturn. Earth, in this context, is nothing more than an inconveniently placed rock in the road, a minor obstacle on a cosmic highway. They may not even register our existence as their high-velocity storm rips through our delicate web of satellites, shattering our communications, navigation, and financial systems. The ensuing chaos, planes falling from the sky, markets collapsing, a world plunged into darkness, would be a mere side effect of their passage, as meaningless to them as an insect crushed on a windshield. So, is this a message, a weapon, or something else entirely? If we make contact, will we be greeting a friend or facing our end? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.